Welcome to Whispers to a Bride, where we talk about the stuff no one else is talking about. We are going deep on the emotional aspects of getting married, the stress, drama, and turbulence that affects your own sense of identity and your closest relationships. We are talking about what it means to be a bride and how to navigate this sacred time with more grace and ease. I'm your host, Kara Gassabay. As a life coach and therapist, I'm going to be sharing super practical tips so that you can not only rise to the occasion of your wedding, but also your life. Hello, and welcome back. Whew. Kids are back in school. Summer is winding down, and I am just so excited to be recording again. I had sort of batch recorded a bunch of episodes that I could focus on the kids this summer, and now I'm back into recording more weekly. So today I wanted to talk about all the feelings. I've had a couple clients. It's funny. I always say this, like the clients tend to come in like these waves and clusters in terms of themes about like what's going on with them. Sometimes it's like all about bachelorette parties, and sometimes it's all about like moms and stepmoms, and sometimes it's all about like fiance issues. And lately it seems like it's been about feelings. And a bride, I've had two that I'm thinking of right now, like will call me feeling very focused and concerned about what are like smaller problems. Maybe a few people that aren't coming to the wedding that they really wish were coming, just people not quite doing what they expected, not quite showing up for them in the way that they thought that they would have, or in the way that these brides had previously shown up for these people in their life, and specifically for their weddings, right? And so again, it's like we just sort of have an understanding or assumption that people will kind of show up for us in the way that we showed up for them. It's not an unreasonable thing to expect. And obviously, when that doesn't happen, it's hurtful and it's annoying and it's frustrating and it just kind of can get under your skin. And that's what was happening with this one bride I spoke to recently, just feeling like, these people that I really, really have prioritized and shown up for are just not doing the same back. And it's just really unexpected and it's really hard to deal with. And so, we talked through some of that and, the options. And sometimes it's really kind of itching and staying with you because it's urging you to like speak out. Like maybe you're a person who never really speaks up for yourself in terms of like people disappointing you, and you always make excuses and say, it's okay. I need to like focus on all the things that they have done right or all the other people who are doing the right thing. But sometimes it's staying with you because you need to speak to it. Like there's something that just needs to be addressed so that it's just clear and it's not then seeping out in other icky ways. Because that was one of the things she had said is like, okay, well now I guess maybe I will just pull back and not be as supportive and excited and involved in their life because of what they're doing. And I'm like, well, is that what you want? And she's like, no, I don't want to change who I am based on what they are doing. And so it's like, that's not what we want to do. I think in that case, we want to sometimes just tell people like, look, there is a way to let people know you're disappointed without attacking and getting into some like weird, icky conflict. And that's what this bride obviously wanted to avoid. And she didn't want to make anything worse. And she on some level, she understood when someone can't make it, they can't make it. And yet I really kind of helped her sort of craft a communication that was speaking more, not to like, I'm so hurt or offended or this or that you're not coming, but just you will be missed. I am so bummed you can't be there, right? Like letting the truth be known and making sure it is in that loving way, which is also true. She really does want them there for the joy of it and to be connected and to spend the time and to celebrate with them and to sort of just live this moment with them. Her wedding, she just really had these specific people she wanted to be there. And so when that wasn't working out, it's okay to say that. It's okay to express that emotion. And as long as it's not spiteful and trying to change them, you can do it knowing, look, they have to make their decisions and do what they need to do. And you get to have your response to it and your reaction to it. And especially if it is in that loving way. Sometimes people are like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think I'd be noticed. I thought you had all these people, like, and it would be no big deal if I wasn't there. And sometimes hearing that, like, you matter, even if they can't change their plans, it's just like a really nice thing that can deepen and strengthen the bond instead of the alternative, which is that, like, you're going to drift and this is going to be a big injury in the relationship and we're never going to get over it and it's going to be a big problem, right? This is the thing with weddings. They are big, big, memorable moments, and people never forget sort of what goes on. You could throw a million parties and your friend doesn't come, but they're going to remember if you didn't come to their wedding. And so I think on both sides, we want to handle it with care and a little more attention than any other sort of invitation we might get. Of course, I still stand by the fact that these are invitations, not obligations, and people do need to do what they need to do. But you can also respond and have this reaction that you have after you have processed some of that top layer disappointment and upsetness, and then really come to the text or the call or the whatever with that both and. I'm so bummed, and you will be missed, and I still want to be close or have you involved in some other way or whatever you want to do. Okay. But that was just, of course, it's funny. These are always how coaching calls go. That's like top layer. Okay, we're bummed. We have a problem. Here's some options for solving it. We talked through all the options. She could do nothing. She could do all the things. But after that, then it's like, okay, but what's really going on? There was so much more. This wasn't even really, this was a problem. It's not that this wasn't a problem, but there was just, it was the tip of the iceberg in terms of the feeling sad and disappointed and missing people. It was a different thing underneath. It turns out that, like, one of her very, very close people had passed away years and years before, and this grief that she didn't expect to come back in this intense way was right here. And she was just kind of like, it kind of makes sense, but it also kind of doesn't, because, there's been time to heal and grieve, and she does have all these wonderful supportive friends and family involved. And so I think there was a part of her that just was like, I can't really be feeling this about this loss right now. And almost like she didn't want to go into the grief and kind of deal with it and face it and cry it out and have a day in bed and do whatever she needed to do, because it just felt like, it felt a little dangerous maybe to, like, play with this dark emotional issue from the past when she's trying to craft for herself this really nice chapter leading up to the wedding. So it was like, I'm trying to, like, put out these little fires, and then I've got this big one burning over here that I gotta just pretend is not even there. And so it was just really reminding me of the importance of remembering that, like, you're going to have all the feelings. There's going to be the little stuff and the little annoyances and the little disappointments and the little joys and the little blessings and all the ups and downs, right, that we know about on this wedding planning roller coaster. But then there's going to be really big feelings, like big, gnarly, unexpected, deep, dark, heavy, gut-wrenching feelings too, for most of us on this journey. And that is the part that I just want to kind of remind you and encourage you to stop trying to outrun or hide from them, because, like, it's actually more expedient, more efficient, and more cleansing and relieving to just kind of go all the way in and go for it. Even though sort of like the wedding narrative would tell you, just like focus on the happy stuff, focus on the good stuff. It's all great. And keep your sort of house in order getting up to that wedding day. You don't want to fall apart. I'm telling you, actually, no, let yourself fall apart. Let yourself go all the way down, whether it's freaking out about your relationship, freaking out about your parental relationship, freaking out about finances or moving or jobs or motherhood or friendships or grief from a loss that you've suffered in the past. Like, let yourself really, really go there, because, again, women are so encouraged to hold it together and keep sort of an emotional lid on things for themselves and for those, so they don't scare those around them. But brides even more so. There's such a pressure and emphasis on, like, look, I look good, I feel good, all my ducks are in a row, my party is coming along nicely and and it's just, it is by its nature. This bridal moment is by its design very tumultuous and very unnerving. And it's a lot of breaking down, breaking through, coming apart in order to come together. So I'm with you. I want everything tied up in a beautiful bow by your wedding day. I want us feeling really good and beautiful and complete and with all our wits about us and feeling supported and loved and emotionally grounded and really ready. But the only way to get there is to let things fall apart in order for them to come back together in this new way, in this new chapter in your life. That's really what's happening. Like as you're entering this new phase, which requires a new identity, right? And a reshuffling of your relationships and of your priorities and of your sense of self and who you are in this moment, in this world, in this relationship, with this family configuration. Like all of those things, I always talk about, like that stuff's really hard. It's identity work at its deepest level. And we're not used to talking about that and moving through the icky parts of that. It's not just like, oh, buy a kit to like learn how to change your name. That is not it. What it's like, there's so much layered underneath of that in terms of like family and childhood and hopes and dreams and the past and the future and cultural stuff. And again, it's just, there's really big stuff. And I know we want to just focus on the little stuff and think that if we can just tidy up on the surface of our emotional lives, like, oh, this little friend really let me down, I'm going to text them. Like, yeah, there's that work to be done. And that can be really hard too. But then there's often like these big, tough, heavy sorrows or disappointments or fears going on a different level that we're afraid that we don't have the time or the bandwidth to deal with until after the wedding. I'm telling you, like, let yourself go there. Let yourself go all the way down, because I promise you, you will repair, return to yourself, get back your clarity, get back your sense of who you are and who you want yourself to be so much quicker if you deal head on with those toughest, darkest, deeper, tangles and webs of emotion that are sometimes just really lurking there. Again, they'll wait for you after your wedding, but you're going to be so proud of yourself. It's going to be much more fulfilling to add that emotional, psychological work, like of going and dealing with a trauma or a diagnosis or whatever it is, going deep and dealing with that and giving it some attention, whether it's having a bridal session with me, going to a therapist, having a tough conversation, doing some deep journaling work, making a tough decision, whatever it is, having a day in bed, crying it out, having a total hissy fit that you are having this wedding without a loved one that you imagine would be there, but they've passed away, or whatever it is, dealing with the grief, whatever it is, go all the way in, and then you can celebrate on your wedding day having done that hard work and faced your demons and faced your deepest sadness and your fears and all of that stuff. It's just going to add more joy and more celebration and more depth. And because that's, there's just extremes. And so if you want your wedding to be like an extreme stream high, let yourself do the extreme stream low. And then you'll be able to like experience the full range of human emotion and experience, which is not for the faint of heart. So that's why we have each other. That's why I'm here for you. That is why this podcast is here. My DMs are always open, and I have one-on-one sessions. So do not hesitate. This is like such a magical, incredible time of preparation, of expansion, of deepening your sense of self, your closest relationships, who you want to be. And there is no way to do it on your own. There's no reason to do it on your own. So get the support. And until next time, enjoy having all of those feelings. And I will be wishing you nothing but bridal bliss.